New York and Company.
Welcome to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Today is Tuesday, December 5th, 2017. And we're going to blast off with some UFO reports. The first one states UFO sighting in Poulsbo, Washington. This occurred November 30th of 2017. In brief, they state, looked like strange small moon. At first, heavy cloud cover. During event, I was watching a dark triangle appeared to be parked, hovering overhead after clearing up a long swath of cloud cover. In more detail, the witness states, I was looking at the way the clouds appeared to be a triangle-shaped object when I noticed a moonlight-like object above the cloud cover. It was more strange than the triangle object, of which I'm accustomed to, I guess, because a video taped this object caught in dry night overlooked a small farmhouse and field. Video sucks. Phone is old and cheap, and I was cold and have a broken wrist. This is chopped up. Pictures are better than I could see with my eyes, and was after zooming in on picture I took of that object that I even clued in on what it had been. Sorry, I skipped triangle craft, but those never come out anyways, and are nothing new around here. Okay. Next, UFO sighting, black triangle sighting in Liechtenstein, Baden-Württemberg. And this is a blast from the past. This occurred October 13th, 2009. In brief, they state, very fast triangle. Oh, Mach 10. Woo! Disappeared like a Klingon bird of prey in Star Trek. They state, walking from home to a gymnastic unit. I was looking southwest to the Switzerland mountains. Cloudy but clear skies over the mountains from southwest to west. Sunset glow. First I thought that it was 3 parallel flying meteors, but it did not change speed and altitude. It was bluish-white glowing lights in triangle formation and altitude approximately over 30,000 feet. From Vaduz and to St. Marganthen, which is 20 miles, in 10 seconds. I was surprised. The lights turned off, and the whole triangle shimmered and disappeared. Ooh, pretty cool. Our next UFO sighting comes from Villa Park, Illinois, November 30th, 2017. In brief, the witness states, was talking on phone in parking lot when I saw the object in the east. It was in slow flight, receding from me. I was amazed as it looked like the ISS, except it was low and close, and its shape was an hourglass, which was illuminated red with white appendages. Huh. In more detail, the witness states, my background. I had just witnessed the ISS overhead zenith in its spectacular glory at 5:17 p.m. It had flown from west at zenith to the east. I was alerted to it by my friend, who told me it would be the brightest ever just 3 minutes prior as I was driving to the Chinese restaurant to pick up an order for dinner. The ISS was the best I've ever seen. The body was illuminated and the solar panels were, and its sides, one of the north and one to the south, folded like wings. I had parked the car in the Eastgate Shopping Center parking lot and tried to get a better view with my small binoculars. They didn't help, so I grabbed my large 50mm binoculars from the trunk and couldn't focus in time. After the ISS had departed to the east-northeast and was going out of sight, I went in to Mr. Wanton's to pick up my food. which I had called in. Oh, that's important to know. Once outside at my car, I called my friend who alerted me to the ISS. As we were talking, he asked if I saw a second object traveling with or beside the ISS. And I said no. Then to the east, directly east of the shopping center at 30 degrees, I saw an object that looked like the ISS. It had the same appearance, which is very unique except for it being low, 500 feet or lower, and its body was illuminated cherry red in an hourglass shape. The white portion was exactly like the ISS solar panels. It was in slow flight, not hovering. I told my friend, and I don't know if I described it because I was so excited. I don't know what it was. It was unlike any airplane or helicopter I've seen, and my binoculars were in the car. I couldn't take my eyes off it except for an instant when I told my friend I'll try to capture it on the iPhone. The photo did not turn out at all. I could get was a bright light in the sky higher than streetlights. I watched the object for several minutes till it receded from view. I got in the car thinking maybe I could chase it, but realized it was already a mile or so away and chasing it in suburban traffic would be fruitless. I can later do a sketch of the object and perhaps find a map to download it. Next is a UFO sighting in Rocky River, Ohio. This occurred on November 15th, 2017, and they briefly describe it as eye-shaped glowing object that disappeared. The witness goes on to state, I was up early for work, and at approximately 30:45 a.m. I was looking to the northwest, and saw an eye-shaped object that had a dull, faded blue light in the center and a white outline, semi-glowing, traveling at a great speed in a straight line towards the north. Before I could even relay what I saw to my coworker, a thin white line opened up, and the object disappeared into it. Both the object and white line vanished simultaneously. Never thought in my life I would see something so amazing. Will never forget that morning for the rest of my life. Every time I go to work that early, I'm always looking up to the sky in that certain point. Fascinating. Next UFO sighting occurred in DeForest, Wisconsin on November 28th, 2017, briefly described as identical to your case number 74442, except no blinking light. Same time of day and also Madison, Wisconsin periphery. The witness goes on to state, driving north on Highway 51 in DeForest, Wisconsin around 5:10 a.m. on November 28, 2017, I saw an object I thought was a landing plane since I was about 5 miles directly north of the airport. The, quote, plane appeared in a foreshortened context, i.e., square-ish. It was no more than a quarter mile west from me. I thought it was quite low in descent for the distance from the airport. It did not appear to be moving, which I thought was due to my angle of sight and the fact that I was driving in the opposite direction. After a few seconds, there still was no movement. I lowered my window to get a better view, trying to see if it was a tower. The object I saw mirrors the February 11th, 2016 sighting in Verona, Wisconsin, MUFON case 7442, including the time of day and location in the Madison, Wisconsin periphery. The one exception is that I saw no blinking white light. What I did see was a square-ish dark object about 60 feet in diameter with red lights on corners. It was difficult to see against the black sky. It was hovering about 100 to 200 feet up. and continued to hover after I drove past. The location was easy to identify since it hovered directly south of a large distribution center. I also saw a couple bar-like extensions on the ground side that reminded me of antenna. Driving home that afternoon and on my way to work the following morning, I scoped out the area to see if I had viewed anything in the landscape, but it was empty. Very fascinating. Next, we're going to dab a little bit into some mystery science. Over the past 4 decades, the writer states, I have interviewed more than 160 U.S. Air Force veterans regarding their involvement in UFO incidents at nuclear weapons sites. An overview of the key cases is presented in my documentary film, the writer states, a more comprehensive summary of the UFO nukes connection, which may be found in their book. CNN's live-streamed coverage of my September 2010 press conference may be viewed here, and we will have those links on ufoheadlinenews.com. And it goes on to state, in the early 1970s, Michael D. Jenkins was a member of the 96th Security Police Squadron, or SPS, located at Dyers Air Force Base in Texas. At that time, the base was home to the 96th Bombardment Wing, composed of nuclear-armed B-52 bombers. The nukes were stockpiled at the Weapons Storage Area, or WSA, operated by the 96th Munitions Maintenance Squadron, or MMS. Jenkins recently told the author, in 1973, I was a sergeant, E4, and worked at the Secondary Central Security Control Facility in the munitions maintenance area. I think this happened in October. I was standing on the 3rd floor balcony of the SPS barracks talking to a buddy when I noticed a vehicle with yellowish flashing lights speeding down the access road from the headquarters area. One light meant it was the assistant base commander for operations. 2 lights meant it was the base commander. The vehicle had 2 flashing lights. Moments later, I saw a security alert team vehicle, designated SAT-2, racing toward our location. Suddenly, a klaxon went off in the building, notifying us of a recall to the Central Security Control, CSC, facility. We went to our rooms and quickly got dressed. The Chief Master Sergeant came over the intercom speaker telling us to ready ourselves and to board the 1.5-ton truck waiting outside the barracks. While en route to the CSC, which was located near the flight line, we noticed that the MMS area seemed brighter than usual. The igloo bunkers that house the weapons are surrounded by ballpark-type lights, which are really bright, but the glow we saw was much brighter. I just assumed that it was caused by the moon rising over the horizon. Upon arrival, we were ordered to draw weapons from the armory and to get in line for our order assignments. I was given SAT-3, which always patrolled the western perimeter of the base, near the C-130 transport practice runway. While we were on the patrol, we kept our radio open and loud to catch orders from CSC, and heard that they had sent 12 cops armed with M16s out to the MMS area. We also heard the 3 dog canine teams that normally patrolled the MMS perimeter reporting that the dogs were afraid and acting up. CSC was worried they would turn on their handlers and ordered them to be withdrawn from the area. Also, we heard that a C-130 was on approach to the base and had been ordered by CSC to do a flyby of the MMS area to get a look at it from the air. The CSC microphone was open and we could hear this in the background chatter. We listened to all of this the cops with M16s being dispatched, the problem with the dogs, the C-130 being diverted via the
New York and Company is the best kept secret for great fashion at amazing prices. The new holiday collection has arrived, and this weekend is the Friends and Family sale. Every single thing 50% off. From holiday party outfits that sparkle to hundreds of spectacular gifts starting at $5. They have something for everyone, including new arrivals from their exclusive celebrity brands from Ava Mendez and Gabrielle Union. Hurry and check out the best deals of the year from New York and Company.
radio in the truck as second CSC and main CSC talked back and forth. The next thing we heard was an order to fire on some kind of object that was hovering over the weapons igloos. The order to move it out of the area came from Strategic Air Command headquarters at Offutt Air Force Base. Seconds later, as we sat in our vehicle with the windows down, we could hear gunfire across the base. At that moment, we saw a streak of bluish-white light moving at high speeds towards the southwest. It was the UFO getting out of there. It passed right over the end of the runway. After about 3 hours of continuous patrolling, we were ordered to come in via CSC. When we arrived there, we were ordered to stand by in the inspection room for further orders. While we waited, we talked with the guys who had shot at the UFO, asking them about what they saw. They seemed scared. One of the other sergeants said that he had never believed in flying saucers, but now he did. Another person described it to me as a large ball of light that hovered at about 150 to 200 feet above the igloos. After 20 minutes waiting, we were called to attention by an officer and told that if anyone were to ask about this incident, we were to refer them to the base information officer. We were to tell no one about what had happened this night under penalty of court-martial. One of the sergeants in the CSC room spoke up and told the officers present that the UFO had leaked something as it moved out across the base. We later found out it was like the angel hair that you put on Christmas trees. It created a trail from the MMS area all the way across the base to the southwest perimeter, past the southern runway of the C-130 practice area. The next day, I was assigned to the primary CSC area with 4 hours of sleep. A teletype message was given to me to take to our commanding officer. The envelope was large and marked classified, but not sealed. I was cleared for top secret messages, so I snuck a peek as I walked into the major's office. I don't remember his name. Basically, the message said that the Texas Department of Public Safety had taken samples of the angel hair to their lab and that the state of Texas would advise the Air Force regarding their findings. The angel hair hung around on the area ropes and buildings for 3 days. On the 3rd day it rained and the material dissolved, completely disappearing. The day after that, I again served my shift at CSC, and another teletype came in. Only this one was top secret. Again, the envelope was not sealed. The message read something like, "After full chemical analysis, it is the opinion of this lab that the substance is not of this world," or words to that effect. I was discharged from the Air Force in 1974. I said nothing about this incident until 1977, when I contacted the Center for UFO Studies. They never did anything with my tip. In 2015, I sent this information to MUFON. Again, nothing was done with it, as far as I know. That's why I'm writing you. The author goes on to state, I asked Jenkins to send me his DD-214 military service record to confirm his former status as an Air Force security policeman assigned to the 96 SPS. He readily complied. He also provided me with the names of a few other persons who were involved in the incident, and I will attempt to locate them. This report is only one of many UFOs maneuvering above United States Air Force nuclear weapons storage areas. Documented incidents occurred in Manzano Base, New Mexico, and Kylene Base, Texas in 1949, at Loring Air Force Base, Maine and Wurtsmith Air Force Base, Michigan in 1975, and at Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico, and the RAF Bentwaters Base in the UK in 1980. The so-called angel hair mentioned by Jenkins is a well-known, if infrequently reported feature in some UFO sighting cases. Wow, pretty cool. On to some paranormal points. The haunted camper. Dum dum dum. My ex and I purchased a camper and moved it onto our property. The old man who lived in it before had fallen in the camper, hit his head on the corner of the kitchen countertop, and died. Oh gosh. There was still a blood stain on the carpet. The man's children were from out of the area and didn't want to deal with the hassle of moving the camper, so they sold it for next to nothing. Not long after we moved the camper next to our home, I was sleeping on the couch in our living room. I was lying with my back facing out towards the room, nearly asleep, when something touched me and I jerked awake. My first instinct was that my child had come to wake me because he couldn't sleep. I turned around to ask him what was wrong, but nothing was there. I then thought it was my cat because he would occasionally come up and tap me with his paw. I got up and looked around for the cat, but he was sleeping in my child's room on his bed. I was creeped out and almost went back into the bedroom, but decided to go back to the couch. To this day, I'm convinced that something inhuman touched me that night. I had a few other strange things happen. I felt like it had something to do with moving that camper to our house. Another time, I was home alone, watching TV in the living room. My chihuahua was lying in the corner of the room, facing towards me. All of a sudden, he got up and started barking as if he saw something. Chihuahuas do that, don't they? At first, I thought he was barking at me, which was unusual, but I realized he wasn't looking directly at me, but in front and to the side of me. He then went from barking to whimpering and running around in circles in the room as if something was chasing him. Ugh. He continued on into the kitchen, which is when I noticed he was not only running in circles and crying, he was also peeing on the floor as he ran. I picked him up and tried to comfort him and looked to see if there was anything wrong. I was so concerned I called my boyfriend and asked if I should take him to the vet. His sister worked at a vet clinic, so I drove him down there just to make sure there wasn't anything wrong with him. They looked him over and said he was fine and couldn't explain the strange behavior. I don't know, but part of me thinks maybe he was barking at something he saw that didn't seem to like. I think the thing started to chase my dog and scared him to the point of him peeing on himself. My dog had never behaved that way before and never did again. It was just a weird, inexplicable freak out. Next, the haunted train station. One day, my friends and I were down at a local park that was surrounded by woods. There was a small clearing where a fence guarded the railroad tracks. Over the tracks was a small building that we thought was an abandoned station. It was clearly not in use. All of the windows were shattered, and the roof was starting to cave in. However, we could see shapes moving inside. We eventually decided they were reflections, even though they moved differently. The next summer, we decided to get a look. So we crossed the quiet railway and headed toward the building. As soon as we came near, we got the feeling that someone was watching us. When we entered the building, we saw strange scratch marks on the walls. Then we suddenly heard a strange whisper, followed by a massive bang, as if something fell over. We all ran away as fast as we could. There's no telling what it was, and we'll never know, because we haven't been near that building again and never plan to go back. Huh. Okay. All right. A final Paranormal Point story. And they begin. My family and I were camping on a lake in central Texas on a week with very few people around. Our spot was on the edge of the camp, next to the woods and very close to the edge of the lake. We were playing Pictionary by the campfire the first night we were there when I saw a light go by over the lake. I didn't think much of it and was still focusing on the game when another one went by at the same speed, following the same line. At that point, I felt a little bit strange, but still wasn't too worried about it. After that, another one went by, and I pointed out to my dad, who said he noticed it as well. We walked out past the campfire and campground lights to get a better view of the lights. They continued to fly by over the lake, going the same speed and staying the exact same distance from each other. They were reddish yellow orbs, and there was no sound coming from them. By then, my whole family was watching in awe and disbelief. After about 15 lights went by, the last one was chased by a white ball of light that was much closer than the rest. We didn't talk about the lights much after that discussion, what they could be. But when we got back home from the trip, my mom looked it up and saw that people in a town a few miles from the campsite saw the same thing we did. Ooh. All right. Well, thank you all for listening to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Be sure to check out UFOHeadlineNews.com every day. And also tune into my other weekly show, The Outlander, which is on Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And catch my paranormal comic, The Outlanders. Direct links can be found at HeidiHollis.com or just come to InceptionRadioNetwork.com. Remember always to keep an open mind so you can stay informed and inspired.
New York & Company is the best kept secret for great fashion at amazing prices. The new holiday collection has arrived, and this weekend is the Friends and Family sale. Every single thing 50% off. From holiday party outfits that sparkle to hundreds of spectacular gifts starting at $5. They have something for everyone, including new arrivals from their exclusive celebrity brands from Eva Mendes and Gabrielle Union. Hurry and check out the best deals of the year from New York